Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2025 College Football Playoff first round preview episode for Under Review. If you don't believe that all of these games are going to be close or per se matter, then you're wrong, because for JMU and Tulane, you may think they're going to get blown out, but these fan bases live and die for this opportunity because they have an opportunity that maybe very few or maybe no Group of Five program fan will be able to claim, and that is an opportunity to create an upset in the college football playoff. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of College Football Under Review postseason edition. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Lets us know that you enjoyed the content and you want to be a part of the Under Review community, and it helps us out. Before we get into our previews, though, we've got to talk about our postseason champ. And who's our postseason champ? It's always going to be the hot team on the street, 30A Hot Tubs. 30A Hot Tubs is a family-owned and American-built business supplying Viking tubs that feature high-quality material and superior components, ensuring that every aspect of the hot tub is designed to last for years to come. When it comes to relaxation, recovery, and overall well-being, few things compare to the soothing experience of a high-quality hot tub. And for Rob Abel, it's all about helping people improve their health and quality of life, whether you're an athlete looking for muscle recovery or someone who simply wants to unwind after a long day. Soaking in a hot tub can provide numerous benefits. The ideal combination of warm water and hydrotherapy jets can ease tension and lower cortisol levels to help combat anxiety. A hot tub even promotes better blood flow, which leads to better muscle recovery, reduced soreness, and improved flexibility, combined with overall cardiovascular health improvements. And even a nice nighttime soak can improve sleep quality by relaxing the body and mind before bed. So if you're interested in experiencing the therapeutic benefits of a Viking spa, reach out to Rob Abel today. If you mention this ad to Rob, your journey to relaxation and wellness starts with a $200 discount off one spa and $600 for an order of two. 30A Hot Tubs, whether you're looking for relief from sore muscles, a way to enhance your fitness routine, or simply a place to relax with family and friends, Rob is here to help you find the perfect hot tub to fit your needs. Now let's take this college football playoff first round under review. And the first game that hits us on Friday night at 7 p.m. Central Time is number 9 seed Alabama against number 8 seed Oklahoma. We enter a game where Oklahoma is undefeated in program history against Alabama during the regular season. And it's the opposite for Alabama. Alabama is undefeated against Oklahoma in the postseason throughout their program. This is a rematch from earlier this season. Went to that game, so maybe me not being at this game means that Alabama has a better chance. It is in Norman. I'm going to say something controversial. I think Norman is a cool stadium. I think it's a intimidating fan base. I don't think the stadium is as intimidating, though. Have I personally been there? No. But do I get the sense that you can walk in and win at Norman? Yes, I believe you can. But I think for this game, the offense is the name of the game. And both of these offenses at the beginning of the season looked fantastic. They looked like both of them had Heisman contenders. But as we slowly got down the stretch through the season, each team became weaker and weaker when it came to playoff play. And when I say playoff play, I mean the kind of competition and schematically sound football you want to see from a team that goes into the playoffs. They really haven't shown that down the stretch. Alabama, you saw against Florida State, you saw against Oklahoma, and you saw against Georgia. When they get down early, this team doesn't really have fight in them. They don't have that killer instinct that we're used to seeing the Nick Saban teams have. But Nick Saban's not here anymore. This game is huge for, and I'm going to talk on Alabama first. This game is huge for Alabama for not just setting a tone for what the program still is, but also setting a tone for Kalen DeBoer's tenure at Alabama. Last season, it was, not what we wanted. It was not going to the playoffs. It was losing 4 games in a season, not keeping the double-digit season streak alive. And we come into this season limping our way into the playoffs. And the SEC championship didn't help quell Alabama fans' minds about whether or not we should be in the playoff. But one thing that you cannot forget is that Alabama was down 10 players in that SEC championship game against Georgia. But what we can't ignore is that Alabama does not have the grit that it usually does when it goes down. But how can it go down when their third down percentage is 35th in the nation? Their total offense is in the top half at 67th in the nation. Their passing offense, one of the top 25 best in the nation. But their rushing offense, one of the absolute worst in the nation. Oklahoma was able to expose it during the regular season against Alabama, and they're probably going to expose it again. But Alabama has to understand that, and they're going to have to lean on Ty Simpson more than ever before. The question is, though, how good will the Oklahoma defense be at converting those turnovers? Because last time against Alabama, that is what won the game. You can't win a game with 3 turnovers. Now, when we go to Oklahoma's side, Oklahoma, they had a gauntlet of a schedule coming into this season. Everyone said, buddy, I just don't know if you can make it. But what did Oklahoma do? They suited up, showed up, and Brent Venables has coached one first-class, A1, whatever you want to say it, gold standard, you get a gold star, defense against these SEC opponents, and these opponents down the stretch in his gauntlet of a season that Greg Sankey gave him. And Brent Venables has been needing a season like this to win over the Oklahoma fan base. He was treading in high water, and now with this playoff berth and a chance to beat Alabama yet again, it only seems like everything is set up for Brent Venables to win again in this game. But I guess the real question is if he's already beaten Alabama this season, then we already know how he's going to beat them. We need to know how he's going to lose to them. And it comes down to his offense. This offense, it's subpar. It's subpar to say the least, but who needs a good offense when your defense is just going to carry you in these games? But their third downs, they're not great. Their total offense, they're in the second half in the nation. Their passing offense is barely in the top half of the nation. And their rushing, not good at all. But that defense, top 10 in the nation in total defense. In this game for Oklahoma, it really is going to come down to third downs. Can they continue drives going down the stretch and allow for John Mateer to actually, show up, use his legs, look like a multi-threat quarterback? When it comes to Alabama, it's really going to come down to turnovers. Can you limit turnovers or just not have them at all? Because last time when Alabama played Oklahoma, they looked sloppy. They looked arrogant in their ball handling, and that needs to change. Those will be the 2 biggest stats to determine the winner of this football game. It's going to be third downs, and it's going to be turnovers. If the Alabama defense can get turnovers against Oklahoma, the game just may be over. But if Oklahoma, like I said against Alabama and Oklahoma earlier in the season, if Oklahoma wins the turnover battle and wins the third down percentage, the Alabama season is kaput, and Brent Venables will continue to show the Crimson Tide and the Tuscaloosa faithful that he's just their kryptonite, just like Alabama's Georgia's kryptonite and Kirby Smart's. At least we still hope so. But overall, I'm going to be an idiot if I don't look. I'm going to be an idiot if Alabama does win. So I have to go with Alabama winning this game. Roll Tide, but I think Alabama squeaks this one out. If Alabama is down by 14 going into halftime, this game just might be over before they even come out in the third quarter. It is really just going to come down to how well can Ty Simpson play and how efficient can John Mateer look, because it's really going to come down to hard work and determination for both of these quarterbacks. But that then takes us to Saturday. This is, like I said, the Alabama-Oklahoma game, Friday, 7 p.m. But we've got the number 10 seed Miami against the number 7 seed Texas A&M Aggies. That will be played at 11 a.m. Central Time on Saturday. So if Notre Dame can't beat Texas A&M, maybe Miami can, because Miami beat Notre Dame in the regular season, and that is why they are here. I genuinely believe that this game will be one of the wildest we see in the entire playoff, and counting last year's playoff, based on the seasons these teams have had. And what do you mean by these two seasons? Well, for Miami, the question is, can Carson Beck extend this season that looked dead in the water after they lost to Louisville and ruin the best season in Texas A&M history? Or can Marcel Reed and Mike Elko become etched in Texas A&M history with this first playoff win? Both of these teams have been starved for greatness. Texas A&M more than Miami, because Texas A&M's last national championship, anyone know? 1939. That is a long time to wait, almost 100 years to wait for another opportunity like this with a team like this, almost an undefeated season. But what happened? They faced a good defense and an average quarterback that didn't make mistakes. And who does that sound like? Sounds like Carson Beck, though albeit on a good day. So let's get into Miami with the topic of Carson Beck. Miami finished the season 10-2. They lost to Louisville and they lost to SMU. SMU, that was unforgivable. That was Carson Beck in the Louisville game, he threw 4 turnovers. And SMU, they just had a terrible performance. But one aspect about this team that is continuously great is their defense. Their total defense is 11th in the nation, but with the way that they have been able to manhandle certain teams in the ACC, really should be difficult for Texas A&M. You may say, well, Texas A&M is not an ACC opponent. They're an SEC team. They play SEC caliber opponents. Well, they played the bottom half of the SEC. So you could argue the bottom half of the SEC is just as good as the top half of the ACC, which is what Miami had to go through. But Miami, they are a team on offense that relies on Carson Beck. Their defense is good enough to complement the offense, but in my opinion, not anchor it down as much as Oklahoma's defense does for them. Their offense is fully reliant upon Carson Beck. That's a very scary thing because their rushing offense is 77th in the nation. Not terrible, but middle of the pack. Their passing offense, though, 18th in the nation. When Carson Beck looks his best, this team looks like they belong in the playoffs. When Carson Beck doesn't look his best, well, it looks like he'll be restocking shelves in a Publix because he's not making it through those scout teams, or should I just say your local State Farm insurance agent. But outside of the Carson Beck hate, I think this Carson Beck-led Miami team can really give Texas A&M some fits, because you know why? We're going to jump to Texas A&M, and I'll tell you why. Texas A&M, 11-1, their best record in school history. I mean, bravo for you. Bravo. Still couldn't beat Texas, still little brother to them. That made their season a little bit sour. Didn't have the opportunity to go to the SEC championship. Allowed them to rest up a little bit. But I think the biggest thing is, why did they lose to Texas? It's because Texas has a top-tier defense in the nation, in my opinion. Texas has a quarterback that is not bad, not great, but he's good. And that's what Carson Beck is. He's a run-of-the-mill good quarterback. And so when Texas A&M plays these type of teams, they struggle a little bit, and they have to fight from behind. And if Miami can put together a good first half against Texas A&M, it's really going to have to come to Marcel Reed. And can Marcel Reed work the magic he did against South Carolina? I don't think he can against this Miami defense, because the South Carolina defense we saw did not have the depth it did last season, as they crumbled against Alabama as well, Texas A&M, and many others around the SEC. But this Texas A&M team looks more complete than some of the others, as most of their stats are inside the top 35. With their total offense is 20th, passing offense 32nd, and rushing offense 25th. And that has a lot to do with Marcel Reed being able to run and pass the ball efficiently. If they can contain Marcel Reed, it's game over for Texas A&M. They're not going to be able to utilize his legs and show multiple different looks, and that is going to cripple the Texas A&M game plan. Though I think the biggest thing Texas A&M has going for them, though, is their depth. They are able to play a complete game down to the wire, and we've seen Miami play iffy games down to the wire and lose all of them, that being Louisville and that being SMU that went into overtime. And so I think the big thing here is who's in the pressure point position. If Texas A&M is in the pressure point position to win the game, I think they can do it. If Miami's in the pressure point situation to not lose the game, Miami will win that. And what do I mean by that? I mean, Miami was able to beat Notre Dame at the beginning of the season, and Notre Dame came back in the fourth quarter. But what did Miami have the pressure of doing? Not losing, because they knew what they had and they know what they can do against teams like Texas A&M. Antithesis being Notre Dame. Miami beat Notre Dame. Texas A&M beat Notre Dame. So let's see who truly deserves to be in the next round of the playoffs. I personally have Miami winning this game. Part of me does have the Carson Beck redemption arc that I've been watching this whole season. I want to continue on. But I think this is the biggest question in this game. Do you trust Carson Beck or do you trust Marcel Reed to win you a game? I'm going to let you sit on that for a second. You can either choose Carson Beck to win the game for you, or you can pick Marcel Reed to win the game for you. Now, after some thought, call me crazy, I choose Carson Beck. I think Carson Beck has it. I think all the noise is away from him. I think he has what it takes to beat Texas A&M, and that's why I'm picking Miami in this first round matchup. So that takes us to the second game on Saturday. That will be number 11 seed Tulane against number 6 seed Ole Miss at 2:30 p.m. Central Time. This is another rematch in the first round. This game during the regular season was an Ole Miss win, and it just wasn't a win. It was a domination, an absolute abysmal performance by Tulane in every facet of football that you could think up or muster up. And I do not wish to watch that game film again, because the only film there was an Ole Miss highlight reel. But when we come down to it, Tulane down the stretch has looked a lot better as the season has progressed. Retzlaff has gotten more comfortable with the team, and Ole Miss, they continue to do everything they need to do. But let's talk about Tulane. As always, we're going to talk about the higher seed first. Tulane, they came down the stretch, and they have some good Power 4 wins, including the ACC champion Duke and Big Ten Northwestern. So they do have these Power 4 wins built into their resume. They've experienced at least tougher defenses than Group of 5 teams, and that's what's led them to this playoff spot. That's what allowed them to dominate against North Texas in their conference championship game. But what we can't look away from, or can't give them a pat on the back for, is just their overall stats and rankings in the nation. If you are looking at it on screen, they are rocking at just inside the top 50 or outside the top 50, their total defense being the worst. And that total defense stat showed up when Ole Miss was able to throw and run circles around them. And I think that's what might happen this game, unless Tulane can utilize Jake Retzlaff and actually, have a run game against Ole Miss, because Ole Miss down the stretch this season has looked great. Third downs, third down conversion percentage. They're 28th in the nation. Total offense and passing offense is third in the nation. The rushing offense, 31st. Total defense, 33rd. Their defense being the weakest part of that, which will help Tulane. Their offense, it's just been dominant the whole regular season. And I put an emphasis, underline, exclamation point behind, under, around, circled, regular season, because this is the postseason. And who do they not have? Lane Kiffin. Yes, the Lane train, it's departed, and it's stationed all the way in Baton Rouge. So what has that left Ole Miss? It has left Ole Miss scattering in the wind. It has left coordinators kind of just in a frenzy. It has left Pete Golding, who 2 or 3 years ago was the Alabama defensive coordinator. He's now the head coach for Ole Miss in the playoffs. And now it is his responsibility to lead this team to a win. Can they do it? Probably. Will it look pretty? Probably not. I think the game can really just come down to one of two ways. One, they look like the team they always were in the regular season talent-wise, and this talent allows them to pick up a solid win against Tulane. When I say solid, I mean probably 2 touchdowns or 3 possessions. This is the other way I think it will happen. 2 is they are distraught, and Pete Golding was unable to stop the distraction of the whole Kiffin breakup scene within the locker room, and Tulane makes it a game down to the wire. Now, does Tulane win that game or not? It's still up in the air. Can Ole Miss truly just rely on talent? Yes, they can. Can they rely on hard work and team dedication? That's one thing I just don't know about. I think Ole Miss really, the third quarter is going to be the most important quarter. If they can make it a 2-possession game in the third quarter, they can coast, they can run down the clock. Ole Miss will not have a problem. Ole Miss and Tulane go into this fourth quarter, and it is a 3-10. If it is 10-point game or below, better watch out, because Tulane is about to put everything out on the line, all the trick plays, all the chutzpah, all the Retzlaff magic you can think of, and it just might get ugly. But I still think Ole Miss will win this game when we're just coming down the stretch and we are looking at it. So, yeah, give me Ole Miss to beat Tulane in the first round. And now that takes us to our last game on Saturday, our last first round game of the college football playoff. That will be played against number 12 seed JMU versus number 5 seed Oregon. And that will be played at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. Well, the group of 5 did it. They got 2 teams in the playoff. And I'll tell you what, JMU or Tulane better make one of these games closer. They're putting the whole thread of the group of 5, just whole atmosphere in danger. Now, coming into this game, this is going to sound crazy or weird, but I kind of have more faith in JMU to create an upset against Oregon than Tulane against Ole Miss. I think JMU has had more consistency in their defense and offense throughout the stretch. Their coach, yes, is taking the head coaching job at UCLA, but just like John Sumrall, they are staying. And I think that is really going to give the players more encouragement to play harder and play better. And speaking on JMU, yes, the only Power 4 win that they almost got, they had 2 Power 4 wins. My bad. If you want to consider Washington State a Power 4 team, because they're kind of in the mist right now of the Pac-12 coming back. So I guess they're maybe the first mid-major conference opponent. But JMU was able to beat Washington State, who took Ole Miss down to the wire. And JMU almost beat Louisville, who beat Miami. So JMU has had 2 great games against teams that have also played against first-round opponents. A little bit of a stretch, but I'm getting there. But I still think that this JMU team has the opportunity to create some magic. And you may say, well, where's that magic going to come from? And I'm just telling you, it's just going to come from luck and hard work. I think Oregon has the opportunity to make some just stupid mistakes in this game. Oregon is a team that is more talented, but with that comes with young and inexperienced. It's a trade-off that Dan Lanning has had to deal with this whole season. It's come in the form of penalties. It's come in the form of playing a top-tier Indiana team that is just overall a more complete team than you. And no one plays a more complete brand of football right now than JMU has coming down the stretch, more or less since week 1 of the regular season. I think their offense is deadly when it comes to rushing. And I think that their passing is nothing spectacular, but I think they can get it done and craftily create a scheme that works against Oregon's defense. And I think I know that the JMU defense is the biggest question mark. You may say, looking on the screen, well, they've got the second total defense. Yes, they've got the second best total defense in the nation because they had the 123rd or 132nd easiest schedule in the country. So that's probably why they have the second best total defense in the nation. While on the other side, Oregon has the fourth best defense in the nation. So how is Oregon going to lose this game? Well, Oregon's going to lose this game by not being able to get third downs, and they're not going to be able to win this game by special teams because they allow JMU special teams to make special plays, or Oregon special team has mistakes, or they get too jittery in this game, then they could see themselves kind of keeping this game close. I know a lot of people don't believe that JMU has an inkling of a chance, and Vegas believes so because last time I checked the spread, Oregon was favored by 20.5 points. So looking at this first round matchup overall, I'm just going to put it in one way that I think best sums up this game. I think that it is a simple game of just a classic matchup of who wins, hard work with JMU or talent with Oregon. And we're going to see what happens when you put hard work against talent, because sometimes hard work beats talent when talent doesn't beat hard work. But sometimes when you've got too much talent, there's no matter how hard you work, you were just never good enough. And that's really what we're going to figure out from JMU and the group of 5. And if JMU just gets boat raced, blown out of the water, kaput, gone, erased from existence, the group of 5 could be in very troubling waters with their future berths in the college football playoff. So we've also got some, that wraps up the first round previews. I've just got some interesting updates for players and conferences before we end this episode. And the first one is, it's kind of a little fun segment. The transfer portal is going on, and there was 2 big things that really caught my attention, and I want to bring it up to all of you. The first one and the first news is this week, Arch Manning is returning for another season at Texas. And my biggest thing was, okay, great. We kind of knew that this was going to happen. I can't remember if his grandfather said if he was going to stay or he was going to the draft. But after a semi-par season, I think the question is, do Texas fans actually want this? Yes, you've got a generational name, but will you get the talent next year? I think we will, but what do we need to see him improve upon? We need to see him improve upon pocket presence, his fundamentals when throwing the ball, because it seemed like he was in pain a lot, and he needs to be able to just look more poised. He did not look like a confident quarterback, and he needs to have more confidence because he's the quarterback at Texas. He needs confidence if you want to go in and win the job and win games. Quinn Ewers, he was probably a little bit better than Arch, but what did he have? He had a killer instinct, a killer attitude, and I'll give him that. That's why Texas was so good with him. And the opposite side of the spectrum with the transfer portal, with another piece of news that I thought was interesting, was that Dylan Raiola, Nebraska's quarterback, is entering the transfer portal after 2 seasons at Nebraska, I believe. Now, with the Texas fans, it was really, are you happy he stayed? With Nebraska fans, it's, are you happy he's gone? And I think it's interesting because when we look at a quarterback leaving now, like Raiola, who gave them mixed opinions, it was a mediocre season. He had his Patrick Mahomes quirks, but it's interesting because I think whenever a mediocre quarterback that brings the program upward, but not to the point that they want it, he leaves his legacy in the hands of the quarterback after him. What do I mean by that? If this quarterback after him is good, then everyone's going to say, wow, yeah, Raiola, he was terrible. I never wanted him in the first place. I always knew we should have gotten rid of him. I knew we were going to be better the immediate time that he left. Or if the quarterback after him is bad, everyone's going to say, oh, why didn't we let Raiola stay? Why didn't we pay him more? Why didn't we do whatever? And it's becoming a consistent thing in this football nature that people are re-signing. It's crazy. I saw Instagram posts of people, not just signing day, but re-signing day. And it gave me an interesting question. As a fan, would you, and let's just say you're at a program, no matter what program, would you rather be upset or would you rather want, so here's the question. You're a fan of a program. You can have one of two options. Either you want Arch Manning to stay, or you want Dylan Raiola to leave. So you tell me, leave in the comments below what you would rather want. An Arch Manning returning to your program or a Dylan Raiola leaving your program and kind of, with the devil you know or the devil you don't. But that was a little fun thing that I'd like to put out there. And then the last bit of news is the ACC is going to move to a 9-conference game schedule next season. This is obviously their overreaction to them not being in the college football playoff, or the whole controversy about their ACC champion, not being in there since that was Duke. And they want to figure out a way, basically medal in putting the best 2 teams in the conference championship game. They are really, it's an interesting one. I think they should have waited another year because you should probably sit back and think, okay, this season was wild. There was a lot of parity in the conference. There were a lot of teams that lost to other ones that created this madness. So you know what's a great way to fix that? Let's have them play another conference game and allow your better team to lose again lose again to a subpar conference opponent and play them again this season. They now have released that they will also have a new tiebreaker clause before the beginning of the 2026 season, and they have yet to come out and announce this. I wonder why, because they want to sit in their room and figure out the best way to rig it so that they can always have their top 2 teams. Apparently, the tiebreaker ain't cutting it out for them. But what really throws a wrench in the whole system is that next season, there's a few teams, I believe 4 to 6, that are still playing 8 conference games because of previously scheduled Power 4 teams for next season. So the whole question is, if you include this new tiebreaker policy this season and you're moving to 9 games, but some of your conference teams are only playing 8 because of their contracts with other opponents, what's the point of doing this if you're just going to create even more controversy? And it's probably because they want it to come down to controversy and allow them the opportunity to step in and say, hold up, we'll figure this tiebreaker out, and just put in the teams that they want in there. But hey, that's just me being a little conspiracy theorist out here. But I think the ACC is just not handling this well. I think they are moving way too fast into this. But that wraps up our first round preview of the college football playoff. Sunday, we will give our college football first round recap episode, and then we will see you the next time they play a preview episode. And then this may be the last time in this set, so you might be seeing a new setting soon for the rest of time. But I'm Nick Watts. Thank all of you for tuning in to this episode, and we'll see you next time when we take more college football under review.